is to win that big one. And I don't really get too far into it, but I just take it one day at a time and one opponent at a time. So that's the ultimate goal. But obviously, we can't just jump into that. We have to take it step by step. So.
Still ahead after 2 straight losses, Towson women's basketball returns to action. Find out if the Tigers can get back in the win column. That's coming up on the late edition of Sports Unlimited.
And for those heading to the Ravens game tomorrow, you will want the layers and the rain gear as we get ready for a winter weather maker. That will lead to areas of snow starting off tomorrow morning, but by the afternoon, we start to see a transition into rain. Some looking at a wintry mix, so regardless of where you are, be sure that you're driving safely and have multiple ways of receiving any alerts that may be issued. By the evening, the heaviest precipitation clears, the chance for a few lingering showers, but drier by Sunday. I'll have a closer look at the timing of the system and how much snow we could see in my full forecast in about 20 minutes. Back to you.
Thank you, Jasmine. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6 o'clock, Fox 45 News follows the issues within the Department of Juvenile Services in Maryland. We press for clarity and look at what lawmakers want changed. 5 days into the new year, and crime continues to impact Baltimore residents. The latest incidents sparking concern.
Carjackings are one of the most common crimes committed by young people in Baltimore City. We will take a look at the most recent examples of juvenile crime. And as juvenile crime continues, why frustrations are mounting over how the Department of Juvenile Services handles cases. And we are following some breaking news tonight with the release of a third round of documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking case.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Rebecca Pryor. We have team coverage tonight of the juvenile crime crisis throughout the city and the state. In a few minutes, Mackenzie Frost joins us with a closer look at the Department of Juvenile Services operations. But first, Fox 45's Alexa Ashwell has the latest violent incidents committed by young people.
Carjackings, auto theft, armed robberies, those are some of the common crimes we're continuing to see young people commit across Baltimore. It was here on Park Heights Avenue in Northwest Baltimore where police say a man was carjacked at gunpoint early yesterday morning. Hours later, and just 3 miles away, police say officers spotted the stolen car here on Reisterstown Road and took 3 teens into custody, ages 19, 18, and a juvenile, 17 years old. The case marking the 6th carjacking to be reported here in Baltimore just days into 2024, and yet another example of young people committing violent crimes here in the city. Another recent case, the targeting of a U.S. postal vehicle as an employee was delivering mail in North Baltimore's Village of Cross Keys. According to U.S. Postal Police, 4 young people vandalized and stole items from the vehicle December 30th.
I don't want to hear apologies. I want to hear what we're going to be doing for the kids.
People, police, and prosecutors putting the pressure on Maryland lawmakers as they prepare for the next legislative session next week. The big focus will be on tackling the juvenile crime crisis, which includes calls for reform within the Department of Juvenile Services and overall changes to the laws many argue serve as roadblocks in holding young people accountable.
We've had the opportunity to really talk, to share, and to say, what could we do united to, hopefully fix the problems that we're suffering together.
Many hopeful for change in 2024. Baltimore police have not yet identified the 2 adult teens charged in this carjacking case. As for the U.S. postal vehicle, U.S. Postal Police now offering a $100,000 reward for information on the suspects. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
If you have a stolen car story or you know someone who's been impacted by an auto theft or carjacking, we want to hear about it. Just scan the QR code on your screen and tell us what happened or send an email to news@foxbaltimore.com. Carjackings aren't the only crimes that young people are committing, though. Juveniles continue to commit brazen crimes throughout Baltimore City, pushing DJS into the spotlight amid growing frustrations. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost explains what's going on inside the department.
In November, this violent assault was caught on home surveillance video.
They didn't even give me a chance for me to give them whatever they wanted. They just jumped on me and started pushing me and punching me and stuff.
The suspects, 12 and 14 years old. Baltimore police detaining the teens, bringing them here to the Baltimore Juvenile Justice Center. But they were released to their parents. Then this letter was sent to BPD and the Department of Juvenile Services Secretary Vincent Schiraldi, raising questions about why the teens were released. The authors of the letter, Senate President Bill Ferguson, Delegate Luke Clippinger, who also chairs the House Judiciary Committee, and others. Fast forward to now, Fox 45 News confirming with DJS, the intake director at the BCJJC, replaced. As of December 21st, an acting director took over. The personnel changes, in line with what Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates says is a culture Secretary Schiraldi is dealing with inside the department.
I believe, talking to Secretary Schiraldi, he really gets it. But I also think that he's dealing for culture and DJS, where you have individuals who just don't want to ever, no matter what young people do, ever want to have a young person detained. So he's fighting that culture.
Friday, Fox 45 News sending questions to DJS asking, what are the job qualifications required for intake employees? How many intake employees work at each DJS facility? Is that considered fully staffed? What's the ideal staffing level? We also asked to see copies of the intake forms used and for a copy of the written intake protocols. Meanwhile, there remains to be questions about how cases are prosecuted.
Currently, they act as a bit of a gatekeeper because it's their intake officers who are making the decision whether the case should be charged immediately or should be charged later, but still charged, or even not charged at all.
Catherine Rosenblatt is the deputy chief of the juvenile division in the city state's attorney's office. She says she hasn't seen a uniform process when it comes to making intake decisions, and that's why the top prosecutor, Ivan Bates, wants some of the guessing removed from the process and instead put the decision in the hands of a judge. Bates says last year,
almost 33% of those were individuals based on our research and analysis that says these are cases that should have gone to a juvenile magistrate, and DJS should not have been allowed to make the call. That's exactly why I've been yelling, screaming, change, tweak this law, and just say DJS does not have a say, but yet let's give it straight to the judge automatically with certain offenses.
Amid the intake questions, there's concerns about an adult facing a laundry list of attempted murder and other related charges connected to the Brooklyn Homes mass shooting, which was Baltimore's worst mass shooting in history. A judge approved the transfer of an 18-year-old, Tristan Jackson, from adult jail to juvenile detention. A DJS representative was at the hearing where the motion was made. According to police records, Jackson was tracked to the scene of the Brooklyn Homes mass shooting by GPS monitor that he was already wearing. Jackson under DJS supervision already for bringing a loaded gun to Merville High School in February of 2023. Police say Jackson was seen on CCTV video spraying 5 rounds in the direction of several unknown people who were running away.
It's incredibly unusual, if not unheard of.
Baltimore area attorney Jeremy Eldridge calls the transfer outlandish and says it could set a dangerous precedent moving forward.
The fact that DJS and the Office of the Public Defender are openly advocating for an adult who's been charged as an adult to be held at a juvenile detention facility means that other judges will have to consider the same thing. And more importantly, does it not pose a safety risk for the juveniles who are already there pending other charges?
A DJS spokesperson tells me that the intake officers are actually case managers, and they also work throughout the community. And I did get a breakdown of how many intake officers are working in the different DJS facilities. You can find that information in this story on our website. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Juvenile crime will be a central focus of this year's legislative session beginning next Wednesday, January 10th. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost will be in Annapolis for complete coverage throughout the 90-day session.
We're following some breaking news tonight. A third round of documents has been unsealed related to Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking case. More than 1,000 pages were released this afternoon. Now, these documents come following hundreds of pages already released Wednesday and Thursday. The pages stem from 2015 civil lawsuit against Epstein's former girlfriend, socialite Ghislaine Maxwell. The latest documents show parts of Maxwell's 2016 taped deposition. Other documents released this week detail some of Epstein's high-profile connections, including former presidents Bill Clinton and Donald Trump, Prince Andrew, pop star Michael Jackson, and magician David Copperfield. It's important to note that being named in the documents doesn't necessarily mean someone was accused of or committed wrongdoing.
And now getting over to meteorologist Jasmine Lomax, tracking your next weather maker. Jasmine, what is it looking like?
Thanks, Rebecca. We are preparing for really a messy day tomorrow with rain and snow and possibly a wintry mix for some. This all starts tomorrow morning as a low pressure system moves up the east coast. We're tracking snow to begin, but by the afternoon, there will be the chance for some spots of heavy rain, especially south of Baltimore City. Northern areas have the best chance for snow. Regardless of where you live, you want to make sure that you are staying weather alert as we deal with the system. Heading into the evening, the heaviest precipitation clears. There could be a couple of lingering rain and snow showers, but by Sunday morning, we're expecting a drier forecast and a much nicer day. So get ready for morning snow tomorrow. Then by the afternoon, we have that rain and snow mix. And by the evening, there will be the chance for heavy rain for parts of the state. Coming up, I'll have a closer look at the timing of the system and where we could see rain and snow and how much in my Weather Authority forecast. Back to you.
Republican presidential candidates making their final pitches to Iowa voters. I'm Atrell Nashar with why Donald Trump's opponents say they can still pull off a victory.
And a former Capitol Police officer announces his bid for Congress in Maryland one day before the 3rd anniversary of the January 6th riots.
Fox 45 News, winner of 16 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
Welcome back. Former U.S. Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn announces his campaign for the open U.S. House seat in Maryland a day before the 3rd anniversary of the January 6th Capitol attack. He hopes to fill Representative John Sarbanes' seat following his retirement. Dunn previously testified before the House Select Committee investigating the Capitol attack. He also received the Presidential Citizens Medal from President Joe Biden for his role in protecting the Capitol. Meanwhile, President Biden blasting Trump today for the January 6th Capitol riot. In his first 2024 campaign speech, Biden called the Capitol attack a day we nearly lost America and spoke to voters about the upcoming presidential race, which could be a rematch with him and Trump. Take a listen.
And now these MAGA voices who know the truth about Trump on January 6th have abandoned the truth and abandoned the democracy. They made their choice. Now the rest of us, Democrats, independents, mainstream Republicans, we have to make our choice. I know mine, and I believe I know America's.
And the Supreme Court says it will decide whether former President Trump can be kept off the 2024 ballot because of his role in the January 6th riot. The court will consider for the first time the meaning and reach of the 14th Amendment, which bars some people who, quote, engaged in an insurrection from holding public office. The Colorado Supreme Court ruled last month that Trump should not be on the Republican primary ballot. The Supreme Court will have to make their decision quickly as voters will soon begin casting presidential primary ballots across the country. Speaking of that, there are only 10 days left until Republican voters in Iowa gather for the nation's first 2024 caucus. Presidential candidates are competing both for the state's 40 delegates and the momentum a victory can give their campaigns. Sinclair national correspondent Atra El-Nashar reports on the state of the race.
It's great to be back in Northwest Iowa.
In the days left before January 15th,
we have a country to save.
Iowa is the center of the political world.
The poll numbers are scary because we're leading by so much.
Polls show former President Trump maintains a double-digit lead over his Republican opponents. This Emerson College poll from December has Trump holding on to support of 50% of Iowa Republican caucus voters. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis neck and neck for second place. Entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy at 8% and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie at 4%. Trump's opponents insisting polls don't tell the full story.
Nobody's leading until you guys get to vote. So I actually believe in the process.
I think a lot of the polls are badly underestimating the level of support we have from college campuses, from libertarians, from conservatives and America First patriots.
For the most part, careful to not alienate Trump supporters while simultaneously trying to convince them Trump cannot win the general election.
And you don't defeat Democrat chaos with Republican chaos. Now is the time we need to have a new generational leader.
The loudest Trump critic in the race, Chris Christie, continues to resist calls to drop out and throw his support behind Haley in the interest of beating Trump. But he says he'd be happy to support someone who has these two traits.
They had a better chance of beating Trump than I did, and they were actually willing to campaign against Trump.
Trump appears confident he has the GOP nomination locked up, but still going after the candidate with the most momentum in the polls.
Haley's weakness puts us in grave danger. Trump's strength protects us.
Part of the home stretch of primary campaigning before voters have their say. In Washington, I'm Atra El-Nashar reporting.
We are getting ready for our next weather maker, and that is going to bring impacts across the state. We start the day tomorrow with snow, and it's going to be followed by a wintry mix. Some only looking at rain, but expect impacts tomorrow if you will be out and about. You certainly want the rain gear, and you want to make sure that you are bundled up. Current temperatures quickly dropping 33, just above freezing over Baltimore with partly cloudy skies. Winds are nice and calm, and around the state we're seeing temperatures in the 30s. We have winter alerts posted ahead of that system. Areas in pink are under a winter storm warning, and then the purple is for a winter weather advisory. For some of these locations, we could be talking snow mixing in with freezing rain and possibly sleet. So you really want to make sure that you are following along for the latest updates and have multiple ways of receiving any warnings that are issued. Here's a look around the country, and that low pressure system near Louisiana is what we're watching. It's leading to rain and storms there, but as it moves toward the east coast, it's going to result in rain and snow impacting much of the region. Tomorrow morning, we wake up to a couple of isolated flurries. Then later in the morning, we start to see that snow mainly for portions north of the city. South is where we expect to see rain. As we continue into the late afternoon, we'll start to see some heavy rain along with heavy snow. You really want to make sure that you'll be driving safely if you will be on the roadways. The heaviest precipitation clears by the night. There could be a few leftover showers. Otherwise, we stay mostly dry and mostly cloudy into Sunday morning. By the afternoon, it's looking drier. Still, those clouds are going to linger. We'll see some breaks in the clouds and more sunshine on Monday for a nice and quiet start to the work week. However, a weather maker on Tuesday is going to bring rain, and for those with snow accumulation, that rain is going to clear it away. So south of Baltimore, expect rain, and also for parts of the eastern shore. Around the city, we're talking a trace amount of precipitation, and then north of the city, up to 3 inches of snow, and those numbers will be highest closer to the state line and where temperatures will be colder. 29 for the low tonight with increasing clouds. Then as we continue into the day tomorrow, we're talking high temperatures in the upper 30s and the low 40s with rain and snow showers. It could be breezy with gusts up to 20 miles per hour. Coming up, we'll have a closer look at what you can expect on Sunday and into next week in the exclusive 10-day forecast.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Snow is the story on this Friday. Winter arrived in Arkansas this morning, bringing snow to parts of the state. It's the same system that's heading east and will leave portions of the Northeast under several inches or more this weekend. A bit west, big flakes were flying in Tulsa, Oklahoma, while in Amarillo, Texas, a snow pinwheel formed in the window of a door following Thursday's snowfall.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
If your New Year's resolution is to find love, you might want to be careful how one woman lost hundreds of dollars through an online dating scam. Welcome back. As the new year kicks off, many people are setting resolutions, trying new things, and looking for love. But one Virginia woman searching for that special someone says she regrets doing it online. In tonight's Assignment America, Scott Taylor from our sister station in D.C. explains how that woman was scammed out of hundreds of dollars.
Match.com says it's the #1 destination for online dating. Backed by 25 years of experience, Lisa Becker took a shot to find love, and it landed this Virginia woman in the middle of a scam.
Oh, the number he's texting me from, it says Match.com. I tried calling him the next day. They answered the phone, Match.com. And next thing I know that evening, I have almost $800 worth of charges to my credit card, taken out of my checking accounts.
When she signed up, she had issues accessing her account. She sent Match.com an online help ticket. Days later, she got a call from what she thought was Match.com.
And he was so professional throughout the whole call. There was nothing suspect at all.
In just over an hour, her checking account was drained after bogus charges showed up on her credit card. Turns out the Match.com employee on the phone was an imposter. He talked and texted her instructions to activate her account by downloading the AnyDesk remote desktop app to her iPhone. It allowed the scammer access to Lisa's iTunes account to make what he said were dummy transfers, which turned out to be real credit card charges. $398 from her checking account was transferred to Apple Cash and Cash App. Her credit card was hit for $400, which was linked to her iTunes account. Eventually, Lisa heard a red flag pop up.
He wanted me to go to a store and buy a prepaid card. He didn't say specifically what kind, but a prepaid card so that he could put the money back on.
So that was a big red flag.
Big red flag. And throughout the whole call, he was also texting me access codes from another number.
After realizing she was scammed, Lisa locked down her accounts and reached out to Match.com and their Better Business Bureau. Match.com told the BBB its customer care doesn't offer phone support or ask members to install remote access software and won't ask members to purchase gift cards.
And it's kind of sad, too, to not only defraud anybody, but to use their longing for companionship and pull on their heartstrings a little bit. So it's sad all the way around.
Match.com